Got, Keith, I want to mention you today because one of my things I was most proud of is we brought the 4-way essay contest back to the school. And Keith was fundamental in getting that started. Thank you very much for that. Also, thank Keith for the top of the class. And what else did you do? Senior recognition, thank you. So, Susan Mack did basically the back buddy thing upstairs. And that was great. And the what?
And the meal.
And summer lunch. She's part
Well,
of it.
yeah, but I'll be helping with that until July 11th. So. Shannon, big thanks to you for the blankets and the calendars for the nursing home down here.
Yep.
What?
Clothes for kids.
Clothes for kids too, also. See, that's why I got a treasurer. Bryce, thanks to you for help get Farm Day around. I was impressed this year. We had quite a few farmers show up. Yeah. Very nice. Kurt, thanks for doing your prayers and all that. Plus, any other, you want to do something and you need help, you get Turk and you get Bruce. They're just always there. I appreciate that. So, Barry, I'm going to join you next in 2 weeks. Save room for me there, okay? All right. And everybody else that I didn't mention, Pat, she does a lot for the foundation. Big thanks there, Pat. So, and the scholarships, I mean, basically you really helped us out there. So, Paul, if you wouldn't take winters off, we'd have more for you to do. And Greg, good. He came through for a program for me. I remember that on the banks closing up. Kept me from going down to Hicksville and drawing my money. That's right. So.
That $7 they probably wouldn't have missed.
There you go. All right. You ready, Denise?
Yeah.
You got the money coming, or you want to say something, Mike?
Oh, sure, I will. I have a preliminary, it's not official, but we're working on the directory. It's not going to come out. We don't have a meeting next week, right, because of the 4th on Tuesday. But working on it, I've called some people, checked with a couple people. This is like a preliminary, working on the directory, some dates in there for meetings, some different things like that. So we'll have that as a main program on the 11th of our committees, our club, different things like that. So if you see anything wrong, I've got some markings in there again. So let me know and then mark it in the book, please.
Okay, I'm going to let Denise go over the financials then for the year. She told me I didn't lose too much money, so that's good.
Okay, the first thing we have is the profit and loss. I like to start out with that because that kind of sets the basis for everything. So up there in that individual business contribution, that's a big number. That's $13,201. $10,000 of that was Alan Hilbert, his donation, and we had some other bequeaths. You go on down through the program income, you know, the can, the Christ cupboard, every income we make, interest, membership dues, that all goes into the total income. And then we spend the money. So there is a negative in the expenses, which is very unusual from an accountant standpoint. But that was something that fell in last year's fiscal year, but cleared the bank in this fiscal year. And what that was the check written to the barbecue company for the picnic. I had to rewrite that check because it was the wrong name for the company. So that's why that looks really odd. It's all in the notes. Let's see. The E-Ray came out okay. The party was paid. That's a big expense because we really went crazy on Songbird the year before, and some of those expenses cleared in this fiscal year, even though it was in that year. So let's go ahead and flip to the next page. This is where it gets a little bit more interesting and understandable, in my opinion. So under sponsorships, since I took over in 2019, you know, I try to keep track, or I do keep track of where we spend our money pretty well, and I can pull out detail. There's always an invoice that matches all of this. So you can see where in the first column for this last fiscal year, we had some new ones. Of course, that 4-way contest that Larry talked about, and we bumped up the PTO this year. They were doing some stuff, and baseball. We really do great on the schools, of course. And then the other, the Clothes for Kids and the St. Vincent Project and the United Way, those were big ones. The blanket drive, that's always, I try to have Van Crest by itself. Christ Cupboard, Christmas Cruise Through, Community Memorial Hospital, Community Service Center, and the Firemen. So this year we spent more money, about $1,600 more on sponsorships versus the past years, but there's a few more things that go into that. So obviously the $10,000 that we got from Alan Hilbert, that's not spendable necessarily. So that's sitting in its own little super savings account, earning the highest interest that we can get on it. So that's where that's at. And then down below is the fundraising. So you can see the can this year versus last year is down, but we had less members too. And then same thing with fellowship, that was up. A few not so smart people on our answers, so we earned more money. Yay. Yeah, keep it up.
Wait till next year, you're in charge.
You can see under bank interest, last year we had $7.73. This year we have $21.33. I know that's pennies, but that's Alan Hilbert. A lot of his, you know, is earning pretty high interest rate. So, but it is in there, and I need to reflect it. For the lunch record, of course, today is not reflected in this, even though today's meeting is on last year's fiscal year. But I wanted to have this ready. Larry asked me to make sure it was ready. So the average number of Rotarians over the course of the year was always about 14 people. Guests, we averaged around 4. So Farm Day, you know, that jacked it way up, and then, you know, there were some days that we didn't have any guests. So those numbers are all in an average. The amount collected from Rotarians, that's up a little bit because, you know, we had more in meals, and they upped our other fees on last year's invoice. We paid Grace United Methodist a little bit less this year from last year. We had less meetings, we had less members. So that's why we paid them a little bit less. Okay, so I'm just going to breeze over this and then come back for some questions, if that's okay with everybody. So kind of remember your questions so I can clarify. The next page is a new page. I didn't have this for you last year. I plan to have it every year. I don't know why I didn't have it last year, but this kind of compares the 2 years, the past year and then this year. So that's just kind of an interesting thing to look over. The big thing, obviously, is that Alan Hilbert, you can see that off the bat, is a lot of money. And then let's scoot on back to my key. I'm gonna not do my key takeaways just yet. I wanted to let you know we got this letter. Why those invoices are a little bit higher for next year is because Club Leaders District 6600 has seen a decrease in membership over the last 5 years of close to 500 members. This reduction in members has resulted in a decrease in district revenue by close to $25,000. This, coupled with inflation and the rising cost of district expenses, has made it very difficult for the district to balance the budget. To correct this, the district governor's line has approved a $6 per person dues increase spread over the next 3 years. The rate increase is below. That is reflected for you. This year is $2.50. That's over 4 quarters, okay? That's not each quarter, that's spread out. And then the next fiscal year will be $2, and then 2 years from now will be $1.50. So I just found out today that they are gonna increase the insurance. So on your invoice where you see the insurance is $3 a quarter, it's gonna be higher than that. So I'll have to adjust the bills as I find this information out. Going on to the bills real quick. These are a little bit confusing to everybody because everybody thinks calendar year. But as of July 1st, our year begins. So July, August, and September is the first quarter of the fiscal year. So if you wanted to pay everything that was due, that we have to pay for on time, you would pay basically $171, but the $25 E-Ray voluntary donation is also paid quarterly. Plus, the polio volunteer donation is paid one time a year, one time a fiscal year. So that's reflected in the first quarter because I try to get that paid right away. Larry set a standard of paying that irrelevant of whether the members choose to pay that. So you're being paid for whether you pay for it or not. It's just a kind, good thing. So, you know, the new president may choose to do something different with that, but it is reflected on that. So if you want to pay for the first quarter, which some of you choose to do so, and you wish to pay your first quarter E-rate and your polio for the year, you'd pay the $221. And the next year, or if you like to pay every half year, you would pick up the first 2 quarters or the first 2 lines and go with that. Some people like to pay it all at once at the end of the year. Some people choose not to pay the voluntary parts. So that's why it's in this format, so you can pick and choose what works best for you. I keep track of it, so I have every one of the checks scanned in. You can always have your check image back. So on your bills, you're going to see it very similar, but some people haven't paid that $19.50 lunch upgrade yet. No problem. I put that up there in previous balance from last fiscal year. So if you see a $19.50 up there instead of a dash, that's what that is. That's just that little bit of lunch increase that we saw the last part of the year. So, let's see. And you're always welcome to email me, call me, say, where am I at? You know, I'm not going to pay the donations. Please take that off my bill, and I will give you a new bill. Or some people like Paul leave in the wintertime and go south, and they, you know, aren't going to be here for lunches. So we'll pull those off and make it work. I did count each quarter how many scheduled meetings there are, and coincidentally there's 12 in each quarter. If for some reason COVID would hit and we drop a bunch of those, you'd get a credit for next year, or we'd reduce your bill. So we try to keep it as an active thing going on. So my key takeaways. Do you guys have a copy of those key takeaways? Did I? Okay. I have to make a change. Fifth paragraph down, but I'll get there. So 2022 and 2023, the meal charge increased from $7.50 to $9 just in that fourth quarter. Rotarians were paying $8.50, but that is now increased to $10 for that last fourth quarter. And it will be $10 for all 4 quarters next year, unless, of course, we have another price adjustment. We paid for 22 meals until the fourth quarter, and then it decreased to 21. However, Otto Nisley, he passed away in February. So we were paying for him for a little bit longer, which is just fine. Just letting you know why it seemed weird that it was in the fourth quarter when our membership dropped prior to that. Beginning of fiscal year, guests' meals were paid separately from the members. And then later on in the year, we were told we didn't need to do it that way, so things were adjusted. It was the same amount. The guests are paid, they cost the same, but that's why in the profit and loss statement, it's going to look a little bizarre that the guests, even though the numbers went up, we paid less for them. Well, we didn't have to keep them separate any longer. 2022 and 2023, we had 22 full-time members and 1 membership only. The membership only is Mr. Remus until we lost Otto in February. Then that dropped to 21 and 1. So Leonard Siebenaller, Bob Luderman is going to drop out as an active attending member, so he prefers to stay on, last I was told, and he'll drop too, like Bob Ramus. His lunch fees will come off, and he wants to stay a member. So in 2022 and 2023, we donated more money than last year, $2,260. That's one of my key takeaways. Last year, the quarter membership dues totaled $100, a half or $50, which is $8.25 more per quarter than the previous year. This coming year, those membership dues went up for districts, so we're charging $51 a quarter. And again, I already read you that email. I want to let you know that's going to increase over the next 2 years. The next paragraph, if you could scratch off that first sentence, every single member is paid up in full, except for that $19.50. We're not worrying about that. But memberships, magazines, insurance, every one of us are paid. Let's see. So yes, financials are showing a profit, but keep in mind the $10,000 from Mr. Hilbert's estate. We received a bequeath from Leonard's funeral as well. There was a member that paid for Rose Bowl sponsorship, parade sponsorship, Clothes for Kids, St. Vincent's fundraiser through the district, the 4-way test sponsor, and other meeting expenses, which then we did not have to incur those expenses. So our income was up, our expenses were down because this generous member wanted to pick a lot of that up himself or herself. Keep in mind the Christmas party was done during a meeting this year. So, that wasn't a larger expense like Songbird was. The meals were less this year because we had less members. Let's see. Oh, and in addition to that, last year we paid double membership dues in the first half of the year, and that applied to the second half. So that's going to show a little bit of a skew. They billed us twice. Shannon got a bill, gave it to me, I paid it, then I got a bill, and we paid it. So that's all squared away. So you can see down at the bottom, the net profit and loss for 2022 and 2023. This year we made $14,486.10. COVID year was 2020, 2021, that's what that asterisk means. So since my time, you can see the profit and losses as they show. Other than that, everything seems pretty squared away. I don't have anything else overall. I have all the detail for every check written if anybody has any questions or wants to know what something includes.
Let's all give Denise a big hand.
Right now, in our checking account, we have around $13,000, which is about average. It seems like it's always that right now. And then, of course, the Super Saver has $10,000. So, if we had to liquidate, we have about $23,400 right now. So, oh, you're welcome. And you know where I'm at.
Yep.
You will look this over because you got it right now and you're expected to know your questions. Not always do we have that, so find me.
Good.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Mr. Barth, will you come up?
I quit.
Can, I see in the program you're gonna be president and secretary.
Yeah, he's a double
I
jumper.
told Larry he had to move over and switch seats.
Well, I was gonna sit up here, but Barry begged me to come sit with him.
He's quite good
This is my one duty. I'm gonna kind of enjoy this.
Don't hit me with it.
But anyway, Mr.
Good
Barth,
good job, Larry.
congratulations for next
Wonderful
year. Need any help?
No.
There's people you can call.
Looking forward to a good year. coming up, we got some new things going on. We need to gain some memberships, be a little bit more community-minded activities, things of that nature, some fundraising. I rely on all you guys to help and bring in, possibly good, solid members and outreach to our community. So looking forward to my term. Thanks Denise and everybody who helps, make us club a great club. So this time we will stand and dismiss.
I have one more thing, I forgot to say it. I can accept credit cards now. Yes, there's a small fee involved with that the club, will hit, but, if you want to pay any part of your membership, when I have my phone here, which is out of batteries this week, today, I can run credit cards on the fly.
Mike, I had a question too, actually. Should we see, or can we see, or is it prudent for us to see anything on any similar kind of financial statement on the foundation? Does that impact, is that something that impacts us as a group, or is that something different? I don't know much about it.
Well, the foundation's always kind of been money that's been bequeathed to the club. We've had a committee kind of run that occasionally. The club never gives money to the foundation, but I mean, if that's something the board wants to see kind of put together, and we usually will do a foundation meeting.
The accountant that we used to have.
Yeah, Jim Renzi.
Jim
Yeah.
used to give us
Right.
a rundown.
Pat
Makes
has
sense.
QuickBooks now.
With nothing installed on it.
I think that's a good idea. I mean, you kind of see where they're standing with their giving and, what the interest is kind of, and some special projects they're looking forward to the future, so maybe we can make that a program one day. Well, you need a program. So, all right, just as a. I want to thank the people that I did talk to about being on committees, and especially thank you to the ones I didn't talk to but put you on a committee anyway. That's a special thank you, so we appreciate that. I think we're all here working together to make the club better. I did kind of start a couple new committees. If you see that on there, membership committee, I've had a couple people, Brian, Pat, myself, and Greg. Fellowship, again, helping with that. And then I know Susan and Shannon's always helped with social media. Club service, I kind of added that this year. It used to be like a full committee, but kind of the club of what we can maybe do differently during club meetings. I know some of the goals I have for this year I want to do some tours, local tours of some either factories. I thought about touring like Two Bandits, the brewery, where they brew their beer in the back. I wanted to reach out to maybe Hirschberger Foods, and if we get a tour of the cheese factory and kind of see how they make that process. And some of the businesses, I said, some of the Taylor today is doing a lot of renovation downtown, maybe seeing some of that stuff going on. Our first tour though, you'll see our date is a business tour. I call it a business tour, but we're actually on August the 15th. We're going to go across the street after lunch, tour the library, and also the Hicks land office. So I wanted to do a couple more of those kind of meetings throughout the year. With our membership numbers, we don't have programs for every Tuesday that we would meet. So I thought this would be something different and something that we could actually do a half-hour event through one of the businesses and organizations in town. So I want to thank those people that are willing to let us come out to their facilities. So that's something new. But club service is things that we can maybe do as a club, outreach, do some fun, that kind of thing. During club meetings, I started a fundraising committee. We definitely need to raise some extra money. Everything that we make here either goes back to district growth or international, and that's through our dues. But the money we collect through fellowship or any fundraising stays within our community. So we give, like Denise will name off so many different organizations and things that we give back to, and that's all part of being a club service. So the club committee can help with maybe some things we can do during club meetings to generate some fun things kind of happenings. Started a community committee. That's Susan Mack, Shannon Lynn, and Denise Sutter, and those are, to me, organizations like we reach out. To me, that's the lunch program that Susan works on, the Christmas cruise through, if we can help do some help down there during their setup or during when the event is happening, or during a basketball game or a football game, if we can go and help for projects around town. I know know Steve has quite a few community events, if we can team up with his organizations and maybe put some hands-on things. We talked today, me and Taylor, about maybe planting some more trees at the park. We've done that in the past. You know, as an organization. I remember some of our older members remember going down and actually digging holes and putting in nice trees that would grow and help maintain them and everything. I see some of those trees now and they're much bigger and they look nice and they keep growing. So those kind of activities, you know, more community type of outreach programs. So got that going on. I don't know. Talked about fundraising committee, the club committee, the community committee. Here in a couple of weeks, we have the foundation's going to come and do an update of what giving they've done here this last year, and then kind of where our funds sit with our investments and everything through the foundation. So that's a big thing. Questions anytime, come on.
I have a question,
Yeah.
and it's just being not new but kind of new. When we get a membership for Rotary here, am I allowed to attend like Rotary in Bryan or Rotary?
We encourage making makeups. If you can't make this meeting, to go to Bryan or Defiance, or if you're in Bowling Green or Toledo, look up what Toledo has several Rotary clubs, I think, that meet in different
I
areas.
wasn't sure if I needed to be a member of each one, or because I'm a member here, it just kind of rolls over. I wasn't sure, so
You just
yeah.
find out when their
And
meetings
that's
are
great
and
for
go attend it. They'll
networking.
be
Very good.
typically
Yeah.
welcoming you to be there visiting.
About half of those banners in front of Mike, when Doc Ramos was active,
That's what those
he would
are.
travel internationally, and wherever he went anywhere in the world, if there was a Rotary meeting,
Very cool.
he would go. So,
Yeah.
and he'd bring us back a
Good to
banner.
know.
I think we actually have Hicksville Rotary banners, so if you ever want to go to a special meeting somewhere and take some of the Hicksville banners, you're more welcome to. They're in the back room here. Barry, you know, he would make up at a lot of places that he had vacationed, and we encourage that. The attendance isn't as strict as it used to be with Rotary District or International. They used to want everybody here at least 80% of the time, and you know, participate in different things. And they understand the business and the structure of Rotary has changed, so they understand that people are busy.
Has Edgerton and Antwerp both closed their
I-
Rotary groups?
Edgerton has Antwerp that's still open.
I thought,
Okay.
yeah.
What's that now?
Antwerp still has a Rotary Club, but I don't think Edgerton does.
No, Antwerp meets at the bowling alley.
On what day?
Same day, Thursdays.
I think they have all those makeups in that, or the meetings for the other clubs.
Yeah, in the back of the book.
They might still say for Antwerp that restaurant.
Oh, is it? But it's
That's
not
their
there.
house, maybe, I don't know, but that's not accurate anymore.
But they do meet.
They only have about 6 or 7 members that get together in the bowling alley actually to make food, so that's why they moved over there. At least that's the last I heard, which was about 4 or 5 months.
Mike, maybe you're gonna go on to this, and if you haven't had a chance, but I see we have a youth exchange committee or.
We've always had that in case
Right.
it just fires back up. I know with the district, I know with COVID, it shut down completely, and I don't know. Hicksville has always been a strong club in the district for Rotary exchange programs. We supported a lot of the kids, outgoing and incoming, but it always seemed we had kids always coming to Hicksville, part of the program, but that's kind of taken a wayside since COVID.
Right, I just didn't know if that was kind of somewhat being revived or something.
Yeah, it is, and actually, there's a couple, 2 ninth graders here that have expressed interest. And so, and that's a good time to do it, because it'll be a couple years before they're eligible, well, not really eligible, but probably before they go. But hopefully we'll get back with having, they had outgoing exchange students last year, they didn't have any incoming, but this year I think they will. And then hopefully we'll get back into doing that too.
And Susan, are you just a part of the district committee for that? Or-
No.
But you have that list I gave you?
Right.
My guess is it says who heads that up at district now.
I mean, you guys can let me know now, are we interested in hosting another, if we could say we're a club that would like to host another incoming exchange student, we've done in the past. And, I think one of the bigger issues is finding families to, you know, have them part of their family for, you know, the school year. And we usually would have 2 families where they would.
2 or 3.
2 or 3 would alternate, so.
Keith's not here, is he? Do you know if they have exchange students now at the school or not?
I don't think so. I don't think.
I I know Rotary doesn't, but there's other.
I think that they had one last year. It was a young lady from mainland China that was from a different organization, but I think that was it.
But I could reach out to them and let them know if that's something we think the club, we help sponsor that, you know, we give them a stipend, and, you know, some money to help with the
I
training.
think Kevin was the last one sent out, wasn't he? My boy, or, yeah.
It's been a while.
Was he? Wow.
That was
We can
2005.
send members there, we can send Larry out, where you wanna go there?
Hey.
Do an adult exchange program.
You send Bruce out?
Package deal.
You might be willing to go, don't tempt him.
Oh boy. Save, all I can say is save your money, buddy. Save your money.
Always coming up with new ideas, that's good. So. But yeah, I mean, we can look at, I can reach out to the district chair and say that we would be interested for that kind of thing. So, once everybody's kind of looked at the book, does anybody have any questions? I mean,
Barry don't like his date.
his day, he can move it.
Okay.
What's wrong with the date, Larry?
Because his kids are in school, so he needs June 11th, which you have as an open date now.
Is it?
Barry,
I'm open to just give me a call, get with me, we're able to. Like I said, if you have ideas, Lisa reached out to me for some, you know, programs and ideas, and like I said, throughout the year, we usually have some people that need some help to bring different programs to the club. So that's what I'm here for. Denise and our board reach out, and there's a lot of great things happening in our community and our surrounding area, our county, and bringing those people to us and talking about what their outreach is. So.
Like some of my already said that, but I do think if we can help the Christmas cruise through again in a warm weather month, that might be worth an after.
That was so much help.
An after work event.
You just don't even have any clue.
Right. I think that's something we want to continue to do, and if we can get some more support and people down there to help put stuff up and during the event. I know when I've been down there and talking to Denise throughout the years, I mean, these guys work at every night that it's open, and they're at the same gate, the same hours, open and close, and they get tired, you know, you work that 4 or 5 days, and, you know, it wears on them, so hopefully we can help step up and maybe show some more time for them.
Denise, when do you start setting up for that?
September 10th is when the fair board gives us permission to start.
December 10th?
September 10th, every day.
You can start setting up anytime?
Yes.
What do you think about, or what does anybody think about taking that business tour day of November 28th or something and making this a regular calendar event?
I would,
It doesn't have to be
if we-
then, we
yeah.
can switch programs
Sure.
with somebody, whatever's better for Denise, but I'd like to see us make it a regular.
You probably better do it a little bit earlier than that, I think.
Kind of early for when we want to do
November
it.
28th, we're open and running.
Yeah.
We've only
Okay.
got, yeah.
Well, maybe we can switch it for that school sports team, football, volleyball. I mean, that's fine.
I have my day is October 10th.
Would that work?
It would be fantastic.
And you guys usually,
Because I can get in the grass
All right.
then.
Well, what do we think about?
Now, do you usually do that in the evening? You start like at 4 o'clock and start, or you start like during
It's hot, yeah, I mean, I would probably do evening.
the evening? My thought would be for something like that, if we want to do that as a club, we buy some pizza, meet down there, have pizza and pop, and then start working if we wanted to do our work, and then have a little pizza party, and then our meeting would be at that time.
My
We wouldn't
plan
have
would be
that
to do
meeting.
the Christmas cards again
Yeah.
on October 10th.
Maybe we can.
Does that work out good that time?
That's perfect.
That works out for plans. Maybe we can do that. And
That
just,
sounds good. Does that sound good, everybody?
Sounds good to
Me
me.
down there? Okay.
Jacob, are you committed? We need young, strong
Yeah,
dudes.
healthy.
we should get it.
I mean, it's great to have Barry
I gotta
driving
become a
cars,
member.
there is those needs, very big need, but we also need the young, strong dudes that can really,
Get a chance to prove yourself.
yeah. Or Kurt, sweating head to toe that day.
Yeah, when you take a guy that old and he's the youngest guy, that's.
But Brian was right there with him. helping
Yeah,
him.
Brian was there, all of you, Greg was there, Steve was there, all of you. What
That
the-
sounds like it'd be a great time.
Pat.
Larry, sounds like you're in the trail this time.
It's too hot in that trailer.
Good for them.
What?
You know, nothing in this book's set in stone, you know, we wanna, we can make changes to it or redo some things, but, preliminary is kind of the thought I had with the different committees and the different outreach. Membership's huge. I mean, I would like to see at least, you know, maybe 10 new members this year. I reached out to Bob Luderman, you know, you haven't seen him in a long time, great member. He just said, Mike, it's just too tough for me to get in the car, drive up there, get down to the church, and he said he's having some, not major health issues, but he's a hurt, you know. Same thing with the Doc Ramus. They're still paying their dues and everything. They still want to be help with the club, but it's just too hard to get to the luncheons. And I offered to pick him up, but he's like, you know what? I can get there, but it's just hard. So he wants to help in different ways. So we'll keep him in our prayers, and when we're doing special things, let him know. And if he can help out in other ways, that would be great. So both of those gentlemen. Go ahead, sure.
I went ahead and paid my, you know, I told you that we can run credit cards now through the Square system, and so I went ahead and paid my dues to the Square system to make sure everything worked smoothly, and it did. But there's like a $21 fee for $809 worth of that. So I'm gonna obviously pay that, but I wanted to let you know that if that's a convenience thing for you, I really do need to charge you a fee to cover those fees. Because the club can't sustain $2,100 worth of credit card. Smaller stuff, no problem.
Changing with the time, new ways of paying, bringing up our stuff. So. Anybody else have any other questions? Geez, I spoke for 20 minutes. I just got up here. I'll keep it short, but I guess thank you for allowing me to be president again this year. Like I said, I'm excited. I want to see some new things happen and grow the club, help in the community, all that good stuff, and reach out the best we can. So we will close with, hopefully Stan will close and be dismissed with the pledge of allegiance.